In this video, I'd like to show you how to achieve this type of flower with all this coloring without picking up any markers. In this video, I want to show you how fun these Altenew layered stamps are. I'll show you a card that I'm making using this set called Antique Roses. The whole set has the layered stamps, and then it does have the die set if you choose to get it with that, so that you can cut out individual flowers, and then a mask stencil. And I'll show you what you use this for if you decide to get the whole set. I mean, you can buy just individual ones. You can make this kind of flower. And what's cool with the stamp is you layer it with the different colors of ink, and then you end up with this rose. What's really helpful is that the set itself has this little outline on it that shows you, these stamps go together, and then these stamps are the ones that are layered together. So it's helpful to have this, because as you look at it, it might get a little confusing, especially with these little tiny pieces where they go. So it's helpful to have this outline on it. It does show you the layering guide in the package, so you know what order to layer them in. So I'll set this aside. We'll start off. I just have a blank cardstock paper, and I'm using the mini Misti to help me if I need to do multiple times the stamping on a page. So I'll start off with this set first. And if I follow this layering guide, then you know which order to go in. And this one is the first one because that's the most solid picture. Pick that up. And then I'll use the lightest color, and these are all Altenew ink, crisp inks. This is a citrus burst, this is warm sunshine. So you can choose whatever colors you want to use. So I'll use this one first and then stamp it. And you can repeat that if you'd like. And then I move on to the next stamp, which, if you look at the guide, is this one. Now when I set it down, I can't just randomly place it down. I want to make sure that this is lined up correctly. And what's nice is that these stamps have these little notches in them so that you can line up the stamp properly. I'll make sure that the little notches are in the right position, and then I pick it up with the mini Misti, and then I move on to the next color. And for this one, it's a slightly darker yellow, so I'll use this one as a honey drizzle. And there you can see already the layers on there. The next one, and again, we just need to make sure that the stamp is aligned in the right direction. And what's helpful is that when you look at the layering guide, it tells you kind of places to look for to make sure that it's aligned properly. Okay, I'll pick up the stamp. And then for this one, I'm going to use something a little darker, rouge. And there you have the next layer on it. Then we move on to the next one, and then this one again, it tells you where to line everything up. For this next color, it's Coral Bliss. So you can see how beautiful the flower is starting to form with the various layers. And then the last one, you can see these little tiny stamens that go in the center of the flower. For this one, I use Lawn Rock is the color, the center. I just want it a little bit darker. Okay, so there you have your flower all layered, and I'll use the same process to make one other flower right here. And for this one, I'm using Pink Diamond, Rubelite, Raspberry, Ruby Red, and Crimson. These stamps are wonderful if you're not great at hand coloring this and shading and all that, because it does all of that work for you. Now the next step I want to do is I want to add the leaves. And again, the leaves are already tells you how to coordinate them, but I don't want the leaves to be on top of the flower, so how do I put them behind it? That's where the masking stencils come in place. So I'll take the 2 flowers and cover them up. So there's flower number 1, if I have it the right direction, and I will place that right there just to cover up the flower so I can stamp the other one. So for this I'll use some removable tape just to hold the mask in place. So now we're going to do the leaves. I'll add leaves right there, and as you can see that overlaps the flower, but that's okay because the stencil is right there. So I'm gonna use a light and then a slightly darker, and we'll go with this color. So it's Limeade, Fresh Leaf, and Shadow Creek. So this I turned around a little bit just so I can make sure I have this lined up properly. We'll add that leaf right there, and that's gonna look like it's behind this flower. And I will add one more leaf on this side, and I'll do that same 3-1. So once you have all of the leaves stamped, then we remove the masking areas. And now it looks like the leaves are behind the flowers. I will make one more flower and then add it down here. And I stamped one more flower, the same process. And now I will cut it out using the dies in this set. So just line up your die to make sure that it cuts right along the edges. And I'm using the diamond press to cut this out since it's just a little die. And there is the flower, perfectly trimmed. Now if you don't have this die set, you can certainly fussy cut it and cut right around the flower. This will go right over here. I'm gonna use some foam squares to do that. Since this card is not your typical A2 card, I have measured this out where I need it and then doubled to make this a card. So this was 10 inches, so I'm gonna score this at the 5 mark here. And then these all get glued onto here. Okay, and now I will layer these. And I'm using, up to now I've been using some other smaller tape runners like this. Just found the mama of all tape runners. It's an Easy Runner Grand, and I'm telling you, this is a game changer. You can, if you need just the tiniest strip, it will give you that much double-sided tape. If you need to go the whole length of it, it's super easy, but you can really control like how much you put on And I really like this runner just because it's runs smoothly and it's perfect. So I'll put this on the front here, make sure I have it right side up, center it, and then this will go right on top. And now I want to add the flower for dimensional, and I'll add some foam squares. To the back of this I added some foam squares just to give it a little more dimension. So that goes right on there, and then I'll add the sentiment up here, and same thing, I'll just add a few foam squares to this. So there is the card using this wonderful set of Altenew layered stamps. If you like your flowers to have just a little more coloring to them, just instead of just a plain one color flower, then these layered stamps are a must in your crafting. I really like these, and I have a couple of other sets as far as types of flowers. If you have any questions, please comment below. As usual, I have a link to all these things in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you on the next project.